Welcome back, everybody, to our final episode as Seaweed Brain and Nico D'Angelo Adventures podcast. We are finishing The Court of the Dead today, covering chapters 38 to 41 with the guest that we needed to answer all of our final lore questions. We've got Owen from Through the Mist. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Erica, joined as always by my co-host, Carter. It'd be nuts if you were tuning in for the first time to this podcast for the finale of The Court of the Dead, but if that's you, welcome, niche listener. It's great to meet you. How are you doing, Carter?
I'm doing well. I think I could understand if that is your situation. They were waiting for Owen.
They were waiting for Owen. We've poached so Owen's listeners today. Welcome back to Seaweed Brain.
That's definitely the way around this works, isn't it? Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast. Owen, founder, creator, star of the Through the Mist podcast, which seeks to answer all of our lore and world building magic system questions within the Riordanverse. We've been calling your name for help throughout our process of recording episodes on this book. And so we're very excited to have you as keeper of all things that we have forgotten.
I will try my best.
I don't think we've had you on in a while. So refresh us on your thoughts of The Sun and the Star. Did you enjoy The Sun and the Star? And then how did that translate into your relationship to The Court of the Dead?
I remember finding The Sun and the Star just weird. I didn't... The metaphor wasn't metaphoring for me. So, like, it took me a while to digest exactly what they were trying to do with it. But I got it. I worked it out in the end. And this book actually added to it. It really, I think the follow through with the Cocoa Puffs and having them be interacted with more made the allegory make more sense. I still don't understand Nyx, but that's fine. I'll ignore that bit.
Nice. See, that's on growth and change. Owen was like, I don't know about this at first, but then he patiently experienced it and then found out how to have a positive relationship with it, to understand it, to empathize with the allegories.
Was that the core allegory in question? The Cocoa Puffs?
Were the one for me.
Okay.
That would be the Owen question of it, right? Not the weaving in and out of the flashbacks and
that made sense.
Yeah.
Structurally.
Yeah.
Structurally, that worked.
So if there were no Cocoa Puffs in this book, you would have appreciated The Sun and the Star less.
Yes.
Totally.
Oh, interesting.
It's nice that it builds.
I think
this book builds on the previous one.
Yeah, it definitely is a sequel in it takes the original idea and adds to it. It's not a Cars 2, it's a Cars 3.
Mm-hmm. I'm nodding like I'm up to date on my Cars lore, but I'm unfortunately not.
Did you see there's going to be a live action Cars movie?
No. Is there really?
You have to be joking about that.
That's stupid.
They canceled live action Tangled, but they're going to do live action Cars. That can't be real.
So
I need
dumb.
a Disney executive listening to this podcast to tell me if this is real. Carter's
so
Googling
dumb.
it right now.
There's an IMDb page for it.
Yeah, but someone could just make those, surely.
Carter, not you spreading fake news.
Mousetrap News? Do we think that that's legitimate?
No. We're the Mousetrap News. Myth debunked. Listen, it's okay. Every myth needs a legend.
Oy.
By the end of this episode, we all need to call out what we think the idea for the third book is, because Mark said at the book tour, there's not a third book that has been ordered yet. There is a thread at the end of this book that can be pulled on, that they have discussed pulling on to make a potential third book in the future. So get your predictions ready so we can talk about that. Let's dive in so we can wrap this up and ask Owen our burning questions. Carter, where did we last leave off in chapter 37?
We last left off having successfully freed Apate and Dolus. The mist is unbroken, which leads us to believe that we've essentially averted the humongous crisis that Perthus has been trying to cause this whole time. However, classic fable event, it worked too hard, the mist is too much, and now we are in danger in a different way.
The mist is too much specifically because Apate and Dolus are making it too much, though. They were like, wee, hee.
They've gone all out.
Let's overcreate the mist. Yes, and play with it for trickery and deception.
Their favorite things.
Yes, and also Perithous hasn't been defeated yet. So we need to collect him and punish him, or perhaps not punish him. So chapter 38, as Apathy and Dolus are messing with the mist, we're in Spooky Carnival AU. Hazel is talking herself into remembering, like, she has to work with the mist. She needs to find the currents and use them. Did you like, Owen, the portrayal of the mist in this book as being almost like a force, or like the Star Wars force? The idea of like the flow of water that you just kind of like grab onto it.
Yeah, from like a full world building thing, it's really handy.
Yes,
because it can link to the Kane Chronicles a bit. So from like
Yeah.
from that point of view, talking about it like a river is really handy.
So we can sail that river to the Duat.
Yeah, exactly.
Hazel has a bit of a hype up moment where she feels like this is reminding her of when she was dying the first time, and that she refuses to repeat her past as a useless pawn in someone else's game. And this is her like little turning point where she's like, this will not happen again. And she like reaches into the earth and calls Arian, who I think I wasn't thinking. I thought this whole time that whenever she was on a horse, it was him. But I guess he's supposed to be like, too powerful to be tamed, right? So like, this is the first time he's actually appeared since the Heroes of Olympus.
Wait, no. We've seen Arian in this book.
Wait, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we've definitely seen him in this book.
Okay, well,
He
so then why
always
was
runs
this such
away,
a big deal?
doesn't he? He just runs away, doesn't
Yeah.
he? He just like drops them off and then goes peace and walks off.
She's reuniting with him after being in prison.
Oh, okay.
You seem unsatisfied. Like,
You
that's
do
not
not
that
It wasn't hitting
gratifying.
me. It wasn't hitting. Yeah, it wasn't. I just felt like this was supposed to be like her big like, I will not let this defeat me. And then it was like, I hope that the horse comes. I hope that it comes. Like, well, of course it was gonna come.
You can't blame
Maybe
her.
I'm
She's
just not a horse
girl.
girl down enough for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I'm sure that listen, I don't have a pet. It's on me. This is a me thing. I wanted it to hit harder, but I'll blame myself.
I think this is a fair point that it's framed as a big power up, but it's powering up to the regular level that she's at kind of most of the time. But it's sufficient for her to do what she needs to do.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Switch
It's
over
a
to
mental
Nico's POV.
power up.
Yeah. We're just like flipping back and forth here a bit. Reminder that Nico is still sharing a body with Semele because this would be really easily transitioned into the Kane Chronicles. And it's too much. He's pushing his body to the limits. I want to say this is a classic Nico thing, but it's just a classic demigod thing, right? But it is also a classic Nico thing.
It's a very classic Nico thing. Like, the only two people I can think of are Percy and Nico that regularly do it. And then
Yes.
Nico almost overdoes it more than Percy does it by accident. Nico does it on purpose, you know?
That's a really good distinction, because I was thinking about how we spoke at the beginning of this book on the podcast about the abandoning of the eating disorder, and how important it is that he has like learned to like take care of his physical body, and like he's constantly eating, and like Will is forcing him to eat.
I mean, like, partially Will's forcing him to eat, but also he's like hungry. Well, it's not framed directly as anything. We should point that out, that Nico is nobody has canonically ever said Nico eating disorder or anything like that.
But we have said Nico representation of an era of Tumblr that has passed, and we are now done and kaput with that era because he is hungry again.
A cultural force. The fact of watching him talk about hunger and acknowledging and servicing a hunger is different, and is certainly an interjection into cultural currents like the Tumblr stuff, and is also different from the way that he was acting before. Maybe that people would have been able to read these unhealthy eating habits onto him in a way that they can't really anymore.
However, I was sort of reading all of that as like Nico is kind of, healed his relationship with his body, and this like pressure he feels to push himself beyond his limits, a la starving himself in the jar. But this moment with Semele proves that he is still that is still like a core part of his personality, is this like almost like having this very high pain tolerance sense of like, I will push through whatever it takes in order to do what I need to do, which has always felt to me like a very particular child of Hades trait, that he's almost divorced from his physical form, as the Ghost King and the one who shadow travels, and he has no need, he has no care for corporeal needs, he doesn't care if he's like losing his sanity, as Semele is in him.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that she hasn't left yet, because she's going to deal the final blow coming up here.
I feel like she doesn't need to actually still be melded with him to deal this final blow, because her contribution really is her her pedigree, her gravitas.
I think that if she was saying it as a wisp of smoke, then no one would care, no?
It's the power of friendship.
It is the power of friendship because she can't like smite them as a wisp of smoke.
But she's not smiting them as Nico either. Like she's.
But I think that I feel like
But
the
there's the
threat
threat.
is that she would use Nico's powers to smite them.
Yeah, I guess. I guess there's a level to which people can't actually understand her physical and like that she's degraded from what they are picturing, and that the reason why they don't clock this is because she's inhabiting Nico's body and they don't know what her physical state is currently.
Yeah. Although I
As a
guess the
wisp.
threat could be to like possess them and turn them insane as an Eidolon.
I thought the threat
Eidolon.
was always implicitly, I can control things about sanity, but also like, have you heard of my son? On some level, right? Like, I'm
know, I just
related to powerful people. Watch out.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like the power of friendship is the reason that they succeed. Because
The
it has
reason
to be.
everything succeeds.
Hazel on her magic horse catches Pirithous, and she tells Apate and Dolus to divert their mist focus to him, and they like torture him to his knees with a vision of spiders crawling all over him, and they tell him to release the minor gods from his bargain with them, and they'll stop the torture.
Mhm.
And it also works like very, very quickly, which is fine with me because he is a weak baby.
Mhm.
And that
Cute
is
little baby.
in line. Weak little baby tracks with his character description. Side note, just for me, he says the word synergy at this part where he's like, no, my God, like, don't abandon me. We have worked together with such great synergy. Such an abhorrent word to me.
It's very corporate.
I just
Yeah.
don't, it's so like corporate nonsense BS. Like, what does that even mean? So I loved the characterization of Pirithous using the word synergy
Yes.
here.
It's
It was
fake
great.
and also subculturally specific. Like synergy
Yes.
is what people say when they want to say juxtaposition, but
That's what I was
didn't
going to
take those types
say.
of classes.
And juxtaposition is like, to me, juxtaposition is the lowest hanging fruit of a word you can use for some kind of a, contrast
Because synergy fell off the tree. It's rotting.
synergy
It's
is
mold on the
rotting
ground.
in
Yeah.
the dirt.
Juxtaposition is at least on the tree, even if it's low enough for you to grab it and pick it.
But synergy is something that like those boys listening to those other podcasts would say. So it is such a great word for Pirithous to say here. And anyway, it works. He is now like weakened and fell into his knees. And now the only question is like, okay, what are we going to do with him? But we table that for now. We have a little Kit Kat party where Will passes out candy and we relax as Pirithous is like, I don't know, at this point, is he like cowering on the ground? Like, what have we done with him?
I imagine him in the fetal position, just rocking back and forth.
Yeah.
Just going like, spiders, get the spiders away. No more spiders.
Yeah, poor like Annabeth Mark of Athena core. And then we get the appearance that I have been waiting for this whole book. The true goddess of the mist finally shows up. We have Hecate here, and we go into chapter 39.
You may have already talked about this, but the whole time I was like, so we're getting Hecate, right? You're gonna if this plan works, you're gonna like out of all the gods you summon, why do you think you're gonna summon Hades? You're gonna summon Hecate, right? You know this, right? And then when they didn't turn up, when they didn't turn up, I was like, are we getting her? Is it coming later?
I was surprised that to see it when it did because of what you were saying. It was like it felt so obvious that the fact that she hadn't shown up yet or hadn't been even name dropped. I was like, oh, is it contractual? Like, or like is somebody at Disney being like, you can't do 2 Hecate books within 365 days? Pick something else. But she showed up, and it was appropriate, and it ended up, I feel like, still being surprising because of how
just
obvious it was, and then not indulged. But then we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, my favorite line about this is when the young demigod camper is like, "Oh my god, she's the one I actually have heard of." Like, finally she's
really
here.
funny.
That's what I said too when she showed up in the book.
Somebody I've heard of.
Also, let's take a moment. Snaps for a Gale and Hecuba sighting. They're so famous to me. They're here for just a moment before they disappear.
Snaps for a Gale reference that doesn't talk about farting. Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna unsnap for that. I really missed a little fart reference here. Like
representation for the IBS queens.
Hecate shows up and Dion's like, a goddess I've actually heard of. oh my God, who just crop dusted us? And then we move on, you know?
That would, yeah.
Just an Easter
Fire.
egg for the fans.
Absolute fire.
There is a cute line, little payoff for everybody who read Wrath of the Triple Goddess. She says, I need another vacation. Because this would have been months after the senior year adventures in which she took a vacation. And then we have this chapter, which is just a great fantasy of like a powerful witchy woman putting an idiot politician in his place. It's very satisfying to read. This, here we go, is a lore question that I have for the group, Owen and Council.
Go on, Carter. This one's all yours. You can take this one.
So Hecate's form of punishment for Pirithous is to delude him into thinking that he gets everything that he wanted. So she sort of illusion magic mists him into thinking he's being rewarded, and like traps him into his same back into the boulder, but this time he thinks he is now the ruler of a just underworld. And Nico says, are you telling me he's getting his old punishment, but he thinks he's being rewarded? Do all punishments and rewards in the underworld work that way? It's just a matter of what you believe? Hecate says, I never said that, son of Hades, nor would I ever give away your father's trade secrets. That wasn't a no, and it didn't make Nico feel any better. Thoughts on this? From a book's like message perspective and also from a like lore of the Riordan verse perspective.
He needs to be punished. Doesn't matter how he's being punished. He's stuck in a rock, innit? He'll work out eventually that he's stuck in the rock and he has no power. And that's part of the
stuck in
punishment.
A rock, isn't it? Oh God, that's
I
so
guess that's
good.
part of the punishment is like if you like extrapolate it to eternity, at some point this poor dude's got to realize he's not in power. And then realizing he's not in power is also part of the punishment. And realizing he was tricked is also part of the punishment.
Yeah, I feel like if it's the Good Place and wow, spoilers for the Good Place if for some reason 10 years later you still haven't seen it.
Fast forward 30 seconds.
But if he like eventually realizes that, you know, millennia of his post-life existence were a lie and that he's been a horrible person this whole time and has to contend with that, like, sure.
Wait, do you think this is a direct Good Place reference? We should ask Mark. Like the most effective form of torture is Mike Schur's.
Is like illusory and is personalized and is about the like being forced to reckon with your own delusion. Maybe. I wasn't entirely satisfied, but I was like, okay, this is I'm not that invested in the character to get that exercised about what specific version of punishment he's gonna get. It seems fine.
It's also Rick just putting everything back in the place it was before we started.
Yes, it is putting things back in the place they were before we started, and it's also, to the earlier points, good tee up for the multiverse of madness. If and when we get the Riordan verse of madness, this concept that like real torture is all in their mind, and that it like leaves us open for this sort of like lore palimpsest situation where everything can be simultaneously true if everything is cognitive construct to some degree.
Okay, I'm gonna buy
like,
that.
This is consistent with the Gracie Kim telling of everybody is seeing something different after they die, and it's kind of nothing's mutually exclusive, everything's simultaneously happening, processed through cultural prisms.
Yes. Okay, yes, specifically in the underworld, because that is what Gracie said in Dreamslinger, or in The Last Fallen Star. I would also say that maybe this is an effective form of keeping them down. Like, if you trap Pirithous and you're like, you fool, then he's going to be bitter in the underworld and try to get out again. But if you pretend that, like, if you give him the vision that everything is fine, then you have treated him with kindness and he will no longer try to escape and create that vision for himself.
I feel like I've seen this in some form of like cartoon where like someone gets miniaturized and they become the evil empire of small toys or something, and they were trying to take over the world and now they're just taking over the bedroom, you know. I feel like I've seen that play out.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm struggling to place the reference, but I think that's right.
It's a neutralization of their desires, and the only reason they got themselves into this situation in the first place is because they had these misplaced wants and overconfidence. Maybe Luke is in the underworld,
not to bring everything back,
seeing a vision of a world in which their parents treat them kindly.
You think he's getting tortured?
I don't know. Percy would probably be like, no.
Yeah,
Percy
he's not that
requested it
stuff.
to be
nobody
no.
checked
But, like,
out than him, right?
If I was Hades, I'd probably be like, well, no, I'm still probably going to have to torture him. But we don't know.
Minos hates
We'll
him,
never
right?
know.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let us know what you think. Did Hades decide to torture Luke or not? Not do we think Percy thinks Luke is being tortured? Okay, that's that question. There is also a fun shout out here, which I don't feel like we addressed at all in the Wrath of the Triple Goddess, that Hecate was fighting on the side of Kronos
Mhm.
during the Titan and Olympian war,
The second Titan War.
the Battle of Manhattan, if you
Yeah.
will. And she's like, I was manipulated. She aligns herself with Hazel, being like, I was just like you. Like, I was forced into this thing. Thoughts on that?
I don't believe it.
I kind of would have rather heard her be like, I made the wrong choice and I did so consciously. And now I go wherever, like, I'm scrappy and I go where I'm needed. So now I
want to go
longer...
and check the Son of Magic short story and see what it said about her in that. There's a whole weird thing with that one.
With Hecate in that short story?
Yeah, so because it's a child of Hecate after the Titan War is like, that's your protagonist, that's your main demigod. And the whole premise is all the children of Hecate fought against war on Luke's side, and then they were all pardoned except for him because he was the ringleader. So I think I can't remember whether they followed Hecate or if Hecate followed them. I can't remember which way around it was, but that would be an interesting thing to link back to.
Yeah, people have mentioned that we should reread that short story in conjunction with the end of this book. This is the one that Rick's son wrote?
Yes.
Did you have any thoughts on this, Carter?
I think it would have been a more satisfying read if she were if she owned it more. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
But
that's
I feel like it was more of like we haven't acknowledged it enough, so somebody felt like we had to name this fact and particularly try to loop in this whole self-improvement, power of big influences leading world events type of frame that we're also using with the mythics. But I don't see Hecate that way. I see, like, mentally, this is unchanging the fact that I would picture her in sort of a more classical, like Cruella de Vil-esque, like, I'm gonna pick a side because it's fun. And if people have ethical quabbles about it,
she's
then
got a pick.
that's for somebody else. Yeah. She like picked and like period. She has nothing more to say about it. Like that is still mentally how I'm choosing to think about that.
I picked, I was wrong, but he's gone and I'm still here. So here we are.
Yeah, you made a mistake, but like, well, she still gets to do whatever she wants, right? Like who?
And then Hecate is like, Semele, girl, I've missed you. Let's bring you back real quick. And like brings her back into a physical form. She's beautiful. She looks just like Nico saw in Stars and Fireworks, but now physically manifested into a fleshy ichor body. So she and Asterion can make out now. Thank God.
I just read that just before you said it.
Thank God.
Good for them.
Because I've been
Good
waiting
them.
for it. And they
Do you
don't,
think that
but
the
like
physical
they might
form
as well.
is actually better for their makeout potential? Because I feel like before, when she's not corporeal,
She could have just possessed him.
I feel like they could have found some other ways to make it work. Whereas I guess she's like a deity now, and so there's also like corporeal, but she can finesse things, right? She can probably change her shape and appearance. And now, right, like we're saying she's being restored to her godhood status, which implies, I think, the classical Olympian things about, you know,
being able to take it,
restriction to a particular physical form.
True. That's enough of that.
You brought this up. This is your fault.
Hecate has no anger whatsoever towards Apate and Dolus, which I loved. See, this is the version of the character that I completely understand. She was like, that was fun, guys. Like, don't apologize. Because she's the kooky aunt goddess who like plays by her own rules and like only cares about what she cares about in that moment.
For sure.
I think with Semele where she's like, I can do whatever I want. The gods don't even pay attention.
Yeah, I feel like this to me raised the most kind of lore questions, particularly where we're comparing Semele to Pan. It felt like that was the parallel we were maybe leaning into about if you say Semele, nobody has a reaction. Maybe that's why you're fading into nothing, and that this is a trajectory we've seen before. And then Hecate basically is like, not so much. We're gonna do. That'll
So
happen. You didn't see
Hecate-
anything. Is the
Yes,
implication
okay.
that she just like wanted Pan
Didn't
to be
bring back
grass?
Pan?
Like, I don't.
She was like, that boy is so boring. Like, let him fade into nothingness.
Or, but like, is this potentially true for all the gods? That, like, I don't know. Like, what does this imply generally about the relationship between belief systems and godly perseverance over time?
I was gonna ask this when we get like more of her backstory, but let's talk about it now. Owen, do all gods turn into Eidolons? Or was it specifically her? Because Dionysus kind of shakes his head and is like, God, I can't believe they did this to you, you know?
I was going to look at that later. I've got in my list of God. Do gods turn to Eidolons? What's this about? But I don't think if they all do, because that would make I always forget their name, and I feel bad forgetting their name because it's the whole point. The shush guy.
From Trials of Apollo.
From Trials of Apollo. I feel
absolutely no clue.
Yeah. But the shush guy, you know who I'm on about. The shush guy.
Hold on, give me a second to visit the Riordan wiki.
We're leaning in. We're committing to a bit by not remembering the name.
Yeah, the shush guy.
Harpocrates,
the shush guy. Like how
Can
they
we
fade.
Quick explanatory comma for the people who didn't read the Trials of Apollo.
No, they can just listen back to your episodes about it. That just force them to go listen to your episodes. That will do.
You could listen to those episodes. In case you didn't, this is a god who is sort of like actually like culturally at the edge of Greco-Roman canon, who's like more closely associated with a different tradition, the Ptolemaics, so like Egyptian Greek stuff, who was like basically killed in the Trials of Apollo. They killed a god to let me not get more specific.
Allow communication.
Wait, I was literally about to be like, I can't believe you remember all of this. You didn't.
No, yeah, they stole a
And
god
neither
to
do
stop
I.
communications.
In the Riordanverse, Hermes invented the internet. So if we killed Hermes, would the internet go away?
No.
Okay, I believe you.
I can't quite explain why, but no. But what I was going to say about fading is that he chooses to fade, and it's a similar thing with Pan, who almost decides that actually, yes, I'm losing power because my world's being taken over by climate change and plastic and just humans outgrowing cities. At the same time, I'm deciding this is time to go, and same with the other guy. So maybe somebody just didn't decide to go and just kind of happened to go in the background. But then it is funny to think about Jason's bully being a god once. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think this is fair that like Pan, I guess the framing was that he preferred to pass that essence on to all the different satyrs and people and everything, so that the fight for nature is taken up by everybody, and Semele doesn't maybe have the same relationship to her godly domain of insanity, that everyone needs to just she could just fade away so everyone could be a little bit more insane in their spirits.
Yeah, I do think based on the way that it's written in this book that it is not implying that this is the logical next step. It's that they somebody did this to her. Like Zeus, who gaveth her godhood, also did this
Didn't
to
want
her.
to see her succeed. Unnamed people turning her into an Elon.
The man, which is usually Zeus anyway. So
which
let's
is
just say
usually
Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus is the stand-in for the man.
Yes, that's enough of that. Once more, this whole section at the end of this, like after we've dealt with Prometheus, has felt to me a bit like the Wizard of Oz. Like she shows up and she's like, Nico, you have succeeded so much in your life, from winning the war against Kronos to winning the war against Gaia to rescuing these, a Titan from Tartarus and changing the hearts of the mythics and the demigods alike. I'm so proud of you. You are an elder now.
Yeah.
And Nico's like,
it's
what?
A very
and she's like, elder.
Old school storytelling method where towards the end of the book, we're just done. And they like strongly signpost to you, we are in safety now. The hard part is done. We are summarizing and rewarding you with validation from somebody old and powerful.
Yes. And although it is like more classically the Wizard of Oz trope, I think about it as the end of Lilo and Stitch all the time. Like in this moment, Hecate was
She's the Grand Councilwoman.
Grand Councilwoman, yes, of space. We know that Nico is signposted in safety now because he falls asleep on the way home. He can let his guard down. Very special. I always love this moment at the end of a book in the Ride verse. Okay, let's take a quick ad break and then we'll really wrap things up. All right, back at Camp Jupiter, just for one more chapter, we do a farewell dinner. The most important thing that happens in this chapter is that we realize there will be no Tessera at Camp Half-Blood, no cell phones. They do not work, or rather, they're not being given away to Camp Half-Blood. It's proprietary Roman technology, and that's fine. They can keep them.
Copyright law is a thing in the Voidiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have
apparently.
They put in the patent.
They're like, just in case we ever have to go to war against Camp Half-Blood, we're not giving them our technology.
You think that's
we use
why?
a Greek god, but we won't.
I do think that's why. I think that
Trade competition for national security.
I think that the Roman demigods would think that way. Also, so interesting. I want to discuss this little tangent about the baby demigods being like, we're going to go on a quest to go find the actually bad Empause that killed Savannah's parents, and we're gonna quote we're gonna like rough them up. And Nico says, quote, stomp them with extreme prejudice, and then is like, whatever, kids will be kids. How did you guys feel about this?
Deliberately omitting further details now that we've changed some of the ontology of monsters. I mean, we have also, like, not to put too fine a point on it, but in this little battle that we just had, Celestial Bronze and Imperial Gold did go through deities that regenerate in Tartarus. You know, like we did weapon some beings poof into dust.
Things at dust. Mythics. Things at dust.
Yeah. So like clearly that's like the framing of this book is that is not particularly a like surprising ethical mode to be in. Like
right. We're still gonna kill monsters, but if a monster identifies as a mythic and is not like working in opposition to us, then we shall not kill them on sight.
Yeah, where I guess the framing is that like if
train,
you change your tune, then your like relationship to Tartarus is different, and it's like actually harmful to dust and have to regenerate somewhere that's hostile to who you are now. Or okay.
If you see them on the train going to work, you won't attack them. But then if they try and pounce you, self-defense, isn't it?
But it was even the idea to me that like revenge was something that was going to cure this girl, and that her friends were in support of it, and Nico was like, you crazy kids.
Did you want him to pull them aside and be like, actually, what does retribution give you?
I did.
Mental healing.
Especially because we're about to have this conversation about punishment again.
Unless this is the thread.
I feel like Nico's perspective on this is that they're not going to actually kill them, and that the pursuit of closure is a canon event.
It's probably one of those where this is the quest they think they're going on, but what they're actually going on is a completely separate quest altogether, and they learn about friendship or something. I don't know. Default to friendship when in doubt.
Yeah.
I did also have the thought that this could be the thread that they pull on, but this has nothing to do with Nico.
Yeah, he wouldn't go. I think it would be a fun story, but I would be surprised if they wrote it. Oh, the one other thread that I wanted to pull on is this thing about Tartarus' skin. Chekhov's gun did not fire in this book.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like, to me, this has to be the thread, because we can't have done this and have no payoff for what I feel like is one of the most interesting questions that we have here. I guess the reason why they set it up this way is to... Actually, I can't justify it. I genuinely was confused by this decision because I feel like part of the idea is to raise questions about what happens to them after, like, if Asterion were to get got by some celestial realms, what's going to happen to him? I guess there's some value in keeping it open question, but I feel like there's more value narratively in saying if he gets got, he's going to regenerate in Tartarus and it'll be really bad, and he's going to have all these problems trying to uphold
at that point they're going to have
new
border
ethical
control.
code. I don't know. I felt like I assumed that it was going to basically pay off towards the end, where somebody was going to get stabbed and they were going to regenerate in this thing, and that we were going to learn about this cadre of like sort of B-plot demigods who we've met throughout the book who have done some cool stuff to get it working or something. To me, then this I feel like this is a threat. I cannot. This feels like the biggest thing that is introduced with no payoff.
That's so interesting because that's not what I thought the thread was, but I do love this idea.
I'm joining Carter now.
It's like less clear to me, I guess, how Nico and Will would tie into this, but this feels like the thing where I don't understand why you would talk about this if you weren't going to either make it work or have some obstacle that can be solved to explain why it's not working or something of that, like some additional
Imagine
development.
the first person to pop out of there is Tyson. That would just be so.
Like if Tyson gets a minor injury, he can go to the Tartarus patch in New Rome.
Like Ella's there tattooing him, and then the needle goes a bit too far and he poofs. And then somehow he's the one that spawns, and then first person to spawn from there. And they're like, oh my god, it worked.
Okay, this does bring up a question I have for Owen, though, that was brought up last week, which is, was Tyson born in Tartarus? And also, how have the mythics / monsters been moving about Tartarus since, like, from Tartarus to the real world? Like, did it used to be that they were let through only on business, and now it's kind of a free-for-all?
Both. And Tyson wasn't born in Tartarus, I think. Because I think, yes. I'm saying that one's for sure. Wasn't born in Tartarus. But I think it's of both. Like, if a god had a reason, or deity had a reason to pull them out, they would kind of give them a boost. And, like, basically, I'm kind of just imagining, like, alley-ooping them out of the thing. But like, it's that weird thing. There's the only real place we know where they actually touched, like the mortal world and Tartarus touched, is in Rome. But like, so like exactly where they come out is kind of just like, it's this ambivalent place that doesn't really exist. Asterion here, I'm literally just imagining him climbing the cliffs, just like full on rock climbing his way out, like
Jason Momoa style.
Yeah.
Everybody should watch Chief of War on Apple TV. I know everybody's already subscribed to Apple TV because you all downloaded it to watch C, which I already recommended, starring Jason Momoa. So since you already have an Apple TV subscription and you watched all of C, which, fun fact, John Steinberg and Dan Schatz worked on season 1 of, you can just log into your Apple TV account and you can watch the first season of Chief of War. There's a great moment in Chief of War where Jason Momoa starts free solo climbing up a mountain. It's excellent. Everybody should watch it. I will say more about it at a future time. Go watch Chief of War. My favorite part about this section, though, was the image of the kindergarteners of New Rome tending to the patch of Tartarus skin. So freaking disgusting.
I love it.
Imagine a 5-year-old being like,
ooh.
Yeah, like playing in the pus. Like the way that we played in the mud as kids, Carter. They're just playing in the Tartarus pus.
Yeah, exactly.
Barefoot in the Tartarus pus patches.
I just...
disgusting.
But there's going to be that. There's going to be those, because you get those kids that are either like really freaked out by the gucks or they love the gucks, and there's just going to be one kid there that's like just poking at the Tartarus skin.
Yeah, the Tartarus pimple. I'm going to burst the Tartarus pimple. Yeah, I was thinking I had the exact image in my head, Owen. Exactly. All right, and then overview, end of story of like what everybody's going to go on and do now. Everyone's pretty much staying at New Rome except for Orcus, who's going to go on a study abroad trip because he needs to see the world. $3, 2 bags, 1 Orcus. We love this for him. And then we go back to Camp Half-Blood. And as we transition into chapter 41, we have the reveal, because even though we've known who Semele is, it has not been stated in the book yet that she is Mr.
Nico
D's
doesn't know who she
mom.
is.
Yes, Nico doesn't know. Now he does. We have the fading gods conversation. And then we get the mention of Chiron's mom, which is, I'm going to pitch now my thread. Nico is like, who is your mom, Chiron? And he's like, maybe I'll tell you about that some other time. And then Nico is like, you need a vacation, Chiron. And Chiron's like, I can't go on vacation unless you two are volunteering to become the activities directors of Camp Half-Blood. So my thought is that Chiron's going to leave to go on a trip to talk to his mom, and that Nico and Will are going to take over as directors of Camp Half-Blood for like a summer. And that's the book. And it's a chance for them to like lean harder into what it means to be an elder demigod and do more of this like social dynamic.
They'll have to get dragged into the whole mum thing though for it to be a Rick Riordan book.
Yes, like Chiron's like, there's something going on that Chiron needs to go, and like something about his mom, something about, post-Chronos world, like has to go and address something with his mom.
Yeah.
And then Nico and Will have all this responsibility.
And at some point they have to dip to go help Chiron because that's how these books work.
I just like, why wouldn't there be like a 2-sentence vague statement from Chiron about his mom here? Why would he be like, no, I'm not telling you about her? Usually he would give like a 2-sentence vague statement that like might be a lesson.
What if it's another setup for the Hunters book?
Yes, and so then basically that's the B plot, and what actually the book is a book about the Hunters. Chiron leaving is C plot, Nico and Will as director of Camp Half-Blood B plot. The actual book is about the Hunters of Artemis. Exactly, Owen.
I think that on one level this makes sense. However, I do need to raise the potential pitfall that Chiron's mom as a mythological figure is not that interesting.
That's why it's the C plot.
Yeah, that's fair. I just feel like if we did it,
we get Chiron's POV for the first time in the Ryan verse.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess the mom as like literally reason for him to go and nothing else. Sure. Seeing them as counselors. I still feel like they're a little young to be doing this grown old man's job, but it would be fun to read.
And it would only be for like a week, you know?
Sure.
They'd be like assisting Mr. D.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Mr. D's mom is also there because she's helping pick up the slack while Chiron is.
Yeah.
And we get more
and maybe this is where we make another try at Patch of Tartarus in Long Island and see if it takes
Oh my God, yes. See, while Nico and Will are in charge of camp, Asterion comes over and is like, we're injured. We need your help. Patch of Tartarus. And then we do something with the Patch of Tartarus at camp.
All connected.
Yes. And that's pretty much it. There's some conversation about imagining a new path and a future without punishment, and meditation on the fact that the Cocoa Puffs themselves were supposed to be a punishment and then turned into something else entirely. Mm-hmm. Not how I conceived of the Puffs when they were created, though, as a punishment.
As opposed to... like, they were antagonistic. Like, they weren't supposed to be...
but they weren't supposed to be, like, eternal torture, you know?
They were supposed to prove something.
Yeah, they were supposed to be like a gotcha. Right?
I also want to call out Erica as autocorrect here for in the notes correcting Coco to COVID. I just want that to be known because I find it funny.
I was typing this outline with one hand on my phone while like being completely horizontal in bed last night. So there were a lot of typos in this one. Yeah, I think this was a nice note to end the book on, this idea of imagining a future without punishment, to close the narrative about mythics being able to live like amongst demigods without having to live in this cycle of eternal like labor and violence in Tartarus. But it took me a second to be like, oh, yes, no, I get it. That is what this book is about in some ways.
Yes.
Yes.
It just seemed like there were so many things that this book was about. I was like, what will be our final meditation that we leave on?
What is the final leave?
Yeah.
And it is that just because something's bad doesn't mean it can't be great.
Sorry, one more time, Owen?
No.
What did you get out of what do you, in your own words, what is the message of the Court of the Dead?
Believe in yourself, for that's the place to start. And I said, hey, what a wonderful time of day. You can go to work and play and get along with each other.
Actually, yeah, I do see the vision for the Arnold theme song being the message of the Court of the Dead.
Arthur?
You said Arnold.
I was like 4. Carter only knows because Carter's old.
Oh my God. This is...
Well,
every day I have to fight. My God.
Every day I say, hey, what a wonderful day. The actual very, very final thought is a little meditation on Nico's growth as he holds the loneliness puff, sees some lonely memories, and then also sees memories of joy and community building and friendship. So the true final meditation is the power of friendship at the end of the day, as it always shall be in the universe.
In everything.
I mean, kind of.
Also, just to say, I know that in the Barnes & Noble edition, there are these little special letters. People asked if we were going to cover them. I was told by multiple people that we don't have to. And the version of the book that Carter and I have does not have the letters. So we're skipping them. Owen, do you have these letters?
Nope, I do not have these letters.
I was told they're inconsequential to the plot and very short. So we'll be moving on.
Yeah.
We're not Barnes & Noble people.
I'm very
Is
much
that okay
not
to
a
say?
Barnes & Noble person.
I think it's the truth.
Barnes & Noble is, listen, it goes like this. Don't buy books from Amazon. Number one. Number two, I would not buy a book from Barnes & Noble. However, it's better to buy a book from Barnes & Noble than to buy a book from Amazon.
I mean, you live in arguably the greatest city in the world.
I don't,
you know, like
that's the thing
and
that
that's
I
why
can
you
say.
don't have to go to Barnes & Noble. Yeah.
Exactly. I can say, like, from the privilege of somebody who has a independent bookstore within walking distance of me, that I don't have to go to Barnes & Noble. And if you also have an independent bookstore within walking distance of you, I would go to your independent bookstore. However, if you don't, it's way better to drive 30 minutes to a Barnes & Noble than to buy your book on Amazon, even if it's $5 cheaper and is going to come to you faster. If you buy your book on Amazon, brick and mortar bookstores will cease to exist. Period. Full stop.
Well.
Getting off of my pedestal. This is the end of the Court of the Dead. We are going to address like any other final lingering lore questions. I'll go first. Owen, what should we make of the fact that the Cocoa Puffs are now minor gods? What does that tell us about Juniper being the minor god of her own juniper bush? Are we not all the minor gods of our own physical bodies?
Yes. No, I've done a whole species thing in the Voidiverse where I try to categorize everything in the same way that we categorize things in the real world, animals in the real world. And I have put nature spirits and everything separate to everything else. So in your particular answer, Juniper's not a god, she's a nature spirit. And like river gods aren't gods, they're nature spirits, and that's just sexism. But we know that, so we move on.
Period.
So yeah, no, but they can fit into immortals. It makes sense, except you do have to think about how they die, or how they fade, and how they're linked to Nico. And what happens when Nico dies? Did his emotions live on? There's questions, but for the fact that they are this weird in between, and then we can call them minor gods, does make sense for what I've come up with.
So they're the minor gods of the emotion itself, or of Nico's emotions?
Yes, they're because they are a specific emotion. They are like a really weaker version, quickest person I can think of Aphrodite, because like Aphrodite's love, which is an emotion. These are anger, loneliness, the only two I can remember at the moment. And so that is their emotion, but they're not the grand idea of it. They are Nico's version of it, which means they're just really small.
It's almost helpful to think of Apate and Dolus and their relationship to Hecate for how we rank these gods. Like you said, the Cocoa Puffs are not as powerful as Aphrodite, but they both lord over emotions. Like Apate and Dolus are a part of the ecosystem of the gods of the mist, but they are not as powerful as Hecate.
Yeah.
And there are some redundancies that we know about as far as
Helios and Apollo.
That's just humans, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, next question. How come we don't talk about the mist being super strong in San Francisco?
I love that this is going to... People are going to come away from this as the hobby horse of Seaweed Brain Podcast in this book is, why did you not
mention
answer
Carl the
this
Fog?
particular question about San Francisco geography?
See, I always felt this you could argue this away as soon as Heroes of Olympus happened. And the reason the mist was thicker in San Francisco was just the fact that the gods are trying to separate Camp Jupiter from Camp Half-Blood. And because we were in the perspective of Camp Half-Blood, San Francisco got the thick mist. But if you're in the perspective of Camp Jupiter, it might be New York got the thick mist. So like,
counterpoint, San Francisco actually has the physical phenomenon of thick fog rolling off the ocean, and New York does not.
True. I'm trying to make it work in the books.
Like a lore explanation, that would make sense, except for the inconvenient fact that the real world of Long Island does not include an analogous condensation phenomenon. But that's okay.
I was always under the impression that the mist was strongest in San Francisco. Like the Carl the Fog exists because that's where flame of Western civilization Mount Othris is. So the mist was gathered around to protect us from like seeing the ruins of Mount Othris, not because of Camp Jupiter, but I think I just made that up in my head.
No, I
that
think
is mentioned in the Titan's Curse that
that's
part of the danger is about Titans. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the original explanation: is monsters gather there because evil.
Yeah. But it could have been a lie to defend the Roman camp.
But then
except
you hit.
It seems.
But then they add.
But then they're both lies.
Yes. Yes.
See, if I was Disney,
it's Rick making things up as he goes along. We all know this. We know he doesn't fact check.
If I was Disney, the one podcaster that I would like pay for their work is Owen, because Owen is the only person out here in the Percy Jackson podcast universe consistently defending the Riordan verse and making all of these books make more sense. Owen is like, no. Yes. Owen is like, no. This makes sense.
Like,
and I will defend this with my life.
I have a great get out of clause card because, like, the way the mist, I've made the entire universe function is on collective human consciousness, but which like explains so much of it. But besides that, it's just like, yeah, okay. Rick doesn't actually pay attention, so sometimes you just got to go, yeah, I can make that work, I guess. Just about.
The Riordan verse itself is only the collective consciousness of Rick Riordan and what he makes us believe. So if we all accept whatever like latest reality Rick has presented to us and in our collective consciousness, that becomes the reality of the Riordan verse. Boom.
Yeah. We can metagame this as well if you want. Yeah. Metagaming.
Metagaming.
We have to take like a historiographic perspective on this, where like we are all remaking what it is.
Which brings me to my last question for Owen, which this book gives us a lot of opportunities to put various allegories onto the mist. What was your favorite reading of what the mist represents for society in this book?
I really didn't know how to like. I couldn't make this. I was like, what are they trying to say with the mist here? Because you break something and you show that makeup is a lie. But then at the same time, you're wanting it back. It's like very confusing. Like I went, okay, I've functionally, I now understand how the mist works better. But from like an allegory and what you're trying to say perspective, I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me. What you're trying to say, because you're like, yeah, we'll break the world so that we can see everything clearer and see the truth. But then we're going to lie. And that just feels like the wrong message right now. But you know what? It's not all fake news.
I love that we're all in the trenches on this. This is good. This gives us many things to ask. Although we can't really just like outright be like, hey, Mark, what does the mist mean in this book? Because that's not that's not the death of the author.
I think it's one of those where if you think about the function of the mist in the books and how this does the thing of it's in our world. This is happening in our real world, and this is the reason you can't see it. That is the function of the mist from like a storytelling perspective. It's really hard to make it mean anything about truth because you need it to exist for these stories to continue to function in the way they do.
I haven't even had that thought. It's completely true that you can't actually break the mist because then that destroys the illusion for the kids reading these books.
Like, you can't actually
say Santa Claus
properly.
Isn't real.
Yeah, like from a storytelling perspective, the mist is required because you're basing this on our world. Yeah, you're saying this is a hidden society, and you're telling them, you're giving them the reason for it being hidden. So if you break the reason it can be hidden, it's hard for it to mean anything more than this is magic. Ain't it cool?
That all being said, I feel like we are enough years in that you could imagine the sort of formal thing being something that readers could go along with. I don't know. I think
you're forgetting the motto. These are always for kids. They're not for us.
Yes. No, they are always for kids, for sure. But I'm just like thinking about situations like, for example, like I hate to be the person making this reference, but in season 9 of The Office, we like see the mockumentary happening. And I feel like you could imagine something similar where it's like not about age, but it's just about commitment to a set of stories that like by the end of it, you have the kids so engrossed that if you're saying like, oh, by the way, it's like popping out in certain areas, and it's like maybe not where you live, but like somewhere it's real, and all these other people are able to actually witness these events now. I don't know. I appreciate that. I think you're like right that it is a constraint that functions on the way that we can talk about the mist. I just don't feel like it's as binding, or I don't think it has to be as binding. But I think that is the correct explanation. Definitely.
Yeah.
Just shout out to Rachel, who just ignores it anyway. Just, shout out.
Absolutely. Well, that's the end of my questions. Does anybody have any other lingering thoughts, lore or otherwise?
I got nothing.
How much longer do you think Frank has as Praetor?
Oh, Asterian's coming for his job so hard.
I would like to see a competitive primary.
He's only like I think Praetors only last for like 2 years anyway. So it's short lived.
That's true, because he's old, unlike Hazel. So yeah.
Yeah, move aside, Frank. We've got a new Praetor / mayor of New Rome strolling in. I think that Asterion has to be Praetor before he runs for mayor of New Rome. So that's the first step. Asterion will be like that weird older kid in your college class. I don't know if this is like a unique thing to like BFA programs. Every BFA program class has like one like adult who happens to be there.
It's not unique to BFA programs.
Yes.
It is increasingly a downstream factor of the US military that a lot of college classes have this phenomenon now.
Well, it's literally Asterion. He's the one who had to take some years off, and now he's coming back, and he's a little bit older, but he's going to take on a leadership responsibility role.
I would like to see it. See it. Yeah.
That's the thread that will be
job.
pulled. It's a thread we made up, but if you look really closely, it's there. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Owen. Thank you, everyone, for being here for our Court of the Dead coverage. I admit it has felt very chaotic in these final episodes because we have been scrambling to also get ready for the season premiere of Sea of Monsters. So there's been like a lot going on, but it's been really lovely to read this new Nico book with everybody. I also have a special shout out to make. We have a few new patrons, and one of them was gifted a Patreon subscription in honor of their birthday. And so we are shouting out Gwen the Gem for becoming a new patron, but actually thank you to their family that gifted them this in the first place.
Come join the Discord.
I thought that was so cute. Like, also, what a great idea. If you need a gift for your, I don't know, friend, nibbling, like whomsoever, this is get them a Patreon subscription to like their favorite creator. I think that's such a good idea. I will be doing that. Oh, Owen, if you had to name a puff and create a puff, a minor god, which minor god would you create? I
was thinking about this since you was coming on, and I have struggled because I don't know emotions. No. We'll go with
the Cocoa Puff of a lack of male emotion. The Cocoa Puff of stoicism.
Cocoa Puff of not being able to cry. I don't know.
What would be the word for that?
End on a bit.
Male repression. The Cocoa Puff of male repression.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
All right. And on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. Tell the people where they can find you.
The podcast Through the Mist at @through_mist on Instagram and Threads. If you search Through the Mist on whatever you're listening to this on, it's the one with the pink text. Come and listen to episode 58 of Mist and Mythics, which is my lore deep dive into Court of the Dead. So perfect time, you finished the book. Now come along and see what I had to say about all the lore stuff. And you've got a sneak peek in this episode. So win. Yeah, so come along.
Yes.
Everybody go listen to Through the Mist. We will see y'all next week for some predictions and reorientation into the Sea of Monsters. And then the week after that for episode 1 of season 2. Woohoo! All aboard. Woo-hoo! Let's set sail.
Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.